commentary. We, the people of the world, are sick and tired of the self-serving circus created by governments and media called terrorism. We demand that the leaders of the nations of the world solve the terrorist problem by taking away the underlying reasons for it. The terrorist threat is a self-serving problem to governments around the world, and especially to all the government's organizations feeding upon the frenzy. These government organizations' only incentives are to fight terrorists, not to solve the terrorist problem. We, the people, want a solution to this problem. Here is the solution, which has to be creative, not destructive. 1. Solve the Israeli-Palestinian problem by setting up Palestine as a separate state. 2. The U.S. occupation of Iraq, Saudi Arabia, and Afghanistan must end. 3. Allow the Middle East to take responsibility for their destiny. 4. Start massive employment programs in the Middle East. 5. Do a massive investment in education in the Middle East. 6. Have respect for the Muslim faith. That's it. Do it now. If you do not believe in this solution, ask any leader, an intelligent person in the Middle East who does not have a vested interest in the continuation of the madness. Instead of spending hundreds of millions of dollars on the war, that money should be spent on employment and infrastructure investments in the Middle East. That will immediately turn the U.S. into a benefactor. It will immediately silence the terrorist threat. What we're doing through the killings is to create more and more terrorists. We are killing fathers, sons, daughters, grandmothers, uncles. That is not working. If the governments around the world cannot solve the problems around the world without killings, then the governments around the world are no better than the people they are killing. The principle needs to be, do not kill. When you have to kill to solve a problem, then you are too stupid to solve the problem in a constructive way. The world does not need that kind of stupor anymore. What happens today is as if the human race is still suffering from the ignorance of the Middle Ages. At least we, the people of the world, have advanced beyond this ignorance. Obviously, the governments around the world have not. In the eyes of most educated people around the world, you act and look like idiots with a complete lack of ability to look clearly at a problem and find a peaceful, logical solution. The final question: do you think you are going to solve the terrorist problem by continuing to kill people in that part of the world? Government thinking. We need to have troops in Afghanistan and Iraq in order to isolate Iran. That argument has no foundation in reality at all. It's created as an excuse to keep all the interest groups busy and provide them with a purpose and employment. It's like the U.S. government is suffering from complete fear of success. Because if it is successful, then most of the interested parties involved will no longer have anything to do. The mantra among all these constituents would be, if we are successful in solving the terrorist problem, it would be, quote, I saw my livelihood and my meaning and purpose in life disappear. The deepest fear at the top level is to be confronted with something truly complex, and that is to manage the United States and the world for prosperity. The terrorist problem is the eternal excuse for everything and a cover-up for gross mismanagement of the country and the world. What is it with this Western world that has to force their belief and values upon the rest of the world? Historically, it has been Christianity that has been forced upon all other people around the world. Now, that has changed into being our culture, government, and laws. There is no real difference between the two. Let us make a thought experiment. An old tribal leader in the Middle East is looking at the Western world, seeing that most marriages are ending in divorce. Women dressing and behaving like whores, premarital sex, young girls going wild, an explosion in homosexuality and lesbianism. He would naturally think that he does not want his granddaughters to be and behave like that, and would fight the attempt of the Western world trying to impose their values, government, and laws upon him and his country. On this background, would it be right for us to force our culture and values upon this other country? Most people, both in the Western world and in other countries, want to be left alone rather than being micromanaged by people who think they are superior to them. When government starts killing people, it cannot stop, because if they do, they are admitting that the killings were wrong in the first place. It will be an admittance of murder. That is why it is extremely difficult to stop a war and the killings. All killings of people are murder except for crimes of passion. Just like George Bush, when he was governor of Texas, could not stop executing inmates. He even denied DNA testing to find out if the prisoners on death row were innocent. This testing would not be allowed on the remaining inmates, as the statistics of innocence or guilty would indicate how many innocent inmates were already killed. Hence, it was more important for George Bush and the justice system to avoid embarrassment than killing innocent people.